I'm just scrolling past it so I don't really get spoiled on what's here. But there is so much stuff here, man. There's a crazy amount of stuff that seems to have come out yesterday, which is exciting. It's exciting. I can see the word tier sets. That's a tick on our bingo card. We knew but we did know that. They said the tier sets were coming. So it looks like they are coming. So I think what I'll do is I'll just check this video out first. I think that's the game plan. I think that is the game plan. Is we'll see what they had to say first. Let's go.
The Shadowlands story pulls together threads that started in Warcraft 3 and wove their way through many of our expansions. We approached it like a drama in 3 acts. Now, as the 3rd and final act begins of the saga, we need to stop the jailer from reaching his ultimate goal, which is to rewrite the rules of reality.
What does that mean? I don't want to be a pause Andy here, but what does that mean? What is the goal of the jailer? Because I remember he wanted to rewrite reality. What for? What is it he wanted to do? Like, genuinely, I'm not memeing. I'm not being a dick. I swear to you, I'm not. I'm not sure what he wants to do. Yeah, are we memeing now when we say no one knows? Like, what does he wants to rewrite reality. He wants to, so he's bad man. He's bad man. Okay. He wants to be in charge. Okay.
And serves as the final chapter of one book of the Warcraft saga. The jailer has the advantage. He has seized the sigils of the leaders of the 4 covenants.
Yeah, what were they for?
We see Sylvanas realize that she's been a pawn in the jailer's game this entire time, and she refuses to serve him, and she's taken prisoner.
The jailer is able to open a portal to who knows where.
We're not simping for Sylvanas, dude. That's never happening. Oh, poor Sylvie.
Poor Sylvie. With him.
And the Primus had us take some time to retrieve some new sigils.
Now we have gathered our forces. We are working with the Primus to open our own gateway to pursue the jailer to this realm unlike any we've seen before.
Ooh, new zone. ZERETH Mortis. But it's not in the Maw.
The Primus opens a portal, and we come into this alien land. It's completely white, foggy. We're walking on water for some reason.
They can only make out some shapes, some figures there, some crazy devices and consoles.
Eventually, you make your way to a giant gate, and behind it lies ZERETH Mortis.
Looks like Bastion.
ZERETH Mortis was created by the first ones, and it is intended to create afterlives.
Think of it as being tucked away in the fabric of the Shadowlands itself. It's kind of the behind the scenes of these afterlives that we've journeyed to.
It's the land where the progenitors, the first ones who created all of the realms of the Shadowlands, this is their workshop.
They've created everything we've experienced in Azeroth and Shadowlands and even realms we haven't discovered yet.
Does that look like Zandalar? Like Bastion Zandalar? Right? A little bit? No? It doesn't look new.
These first ones built the universe, as far as we know, but their intentions or methods are completely
I don't know enough about WoW lore.
But of course, the jailer's presence here is disrupting this process, and we're working to push back against the jailer's forces and protect this place.
I think the artists have done a fantastic job.
Always praise the artists!
And they looked at a lot of real-life examples of very strange places in the real world.
As a team, we were really trying to make this place as alien as possible, so we really wanted to make everything feel completely unique and completely different. Our trees here are floating, we have stones that are floating, we even have the massive Forge of Afterlives that is floating in the center of the zone.
And true to its name, it's something that is kind of putting together a new afterlife to be sent out into the Shadowlands.
We have this...
Wait, what? It's putting together a new afterlife? So does that mean like a new Shadowlands zone? Or does it mean a new afterlife? What does that mean? I'm really confused by what's going on. A new afterlife. What does that mean? After afterlife? I mean, I don't... Look, man, I don't know a great deal about WoW lore. Nobody's fucking surprised by that. But I'm really confused. They're all afterlives. Super heaven. You guys are not helpful.
water all around you
Where's
because
Noble?
water is really the catalyst for
What if
any
Nupss
kind
is
of
awake?
creation.
You might be
It's
able to
actually
explain it
unlike
to me.
any other water that we've seen before. This is actually water that we can walk on. It almost creates like a threshold between ZERETH Mortis and some other kind of more primordial space right below it.
Oh,
Everything.
sorry for being a pause, Andy, but I really wish you'd gone more towards like the Lovecraftian style with water. I get what they're going for and where they're drawing from here. They're going for that Lovecraftian feel of water being the connector between worlds. That's really admirable, but it's not just pretty with fish in it, right? It would have been so... I mean, I like the morbidity. I like the Lovecraftian stuff. I would have loved to have gone that way.
You see in ZERETH Mortis has a purpose, an intention behind it. For us, it was really important to find ways to convey that intention in the environment itself. And one of the ways in which we did it was through this duality between a lush and a dry biome. In the dry biome, we see perhaps what the original look of the zone was when the progenitors were first establishing this workspace for themselves. And in the lush biome, we see the result of their experimentation with plant life and fauna and things like that.
Oh, okay,
These
so it's
are
like a big
all
laboratory.
test beds
Okay.
for what we'll eventually see elsewhere.
Okay.
From there, we started thinking about what kinds of creatures would be in this place that are fundamentally prototypes. There's terraforming here. There's creatures that are building afterlives. We tried to really stretch and think what that might be like.
My personal favorite includes the giant armored snail, and we also have a progenitor chicken, which answers the question of what came first.
Solved.
These first ones who crafted ZERETH Mortis, what they left behind were the automa, meant to take care of the place and make sure that it fulfilled its function to create afterlives.
The automa have several different classes, and you can see this in their silhouettes. We have the builders, we have the protectors.
Oh, I love that guy. I love that little
we
chunker.
have the casters, and each one of them have a specific role within the Shadowlands. And then you'll also
gladiators.
discover the Jiro, which are a part of the automa. They're a little more quirky, they have a little more personality. They are a little more sentient than the other automa, so some of them even split off to pursue their own desires.
Unfortunately, when we found our way in, Devourers also found their way in. They are ravenous.
They're consuming this weird energy, and it's causing them to mutate and to fall apart.
And the automa, where they are confronted by them, some of them are fighting them off.
And so it's going to take some time for them to understand that we're here trying to help them drive out this threat.
Dude, we're a plague no matter what zone you make. We're trying
Fortunately,
to
we've got
help.
some allies.
Bathed
There
in
are some
blood.
enlightened brokers here that we're going to be working with.
But it's a broker that arrived here quite a long time ago and has had a change of heart.
Here comes
from
the genocide.
Looking at the
The
world
players
as a
are
very
here.
transactional place to seeing this place as a holy place, a sacred place. We meet an enlightened one named Fareem, and Fareem needs our assistance, and in return he leads us to Haven,
which is a hub that has been created out of progenitor ruins, and this is where the Enlightened really have made their home.
Okay.
Haven serves as our foothold here, as well as use it as a base of operations and really start unlocking the mysteries of this land.
Daily quest hype.
The enlightened brokers are intent on protecting and preserving the work of the first ones here, but now they're seeing Zoval bring his forces against the automa and tear up the land, and they are eager for assistance.
The brokers themselves are very ostentatious, they're very into materialism, but the Enlightened are not that at all. They have relinquished this material way, and you'll see this reflected in their clothes. They're a little tattered, they're a little faded, because it just isn't important to them anymore. They're just here for the pursuit of knowledge.
Cypher of the first ones.
When players arrive, they're kind of fishes out of water. And one of the first
we can
things that
walk
we
on
have to
it.
do is start learning how to communicate with the automa. Think of it as a kind of runic language, based in symbols.
We will bond with a small construct who's pretty cute, actually. And with his assistance and the assistance of Fareem,
Don't go the route of the Disney merch, right? Because I feel that's where you're going. I feel like these are all BlizzCon plushies. Right? Like, I'm just a little worried that you put all this shit in there so you can make a plushie and battle pets out of it and all that kind of... You know what I mean? Remember them, like, them things that they had Luke drinking his milk of, that blue milk and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
we will learn eventually how to understand the symbols through the cipher of the first ones.
We'll uncover different parts of this alphabet and start to learn more about the progenitors and ZERETH Mortis itself.
Feels like a
allow
rap grind.
you to unlock new and different forms of content. So that can range from daily quests to new options on the vendors to places to explore and new side quests that open up. Yeah. So it's really the gateway to exploring the far reaches of ZERETH Mortis.
As we looked into the development of CYPHER of the first ones, we wanted something that was unique that players haven't seen before. A little bit of familiarity, but something that takes that to the next level.
We really involved the whole team in this creative process.
Are you going to time gate everything? Oh, I bet you are. Are you time gating the whole new zone? No.
We worked with our UI team to be able to represent those through text, through these things talking and seeing them on screen in chat bubbles and in our chat window. Little by little, these kind of runes start taking shape into words that we recognize. But it's going to be a process that unfolds over the course of playing through Eternity's End. The Automa speak in this kind of musical language. They don't talk the way that we mortals are used to speaking. The sound team was super excited. They jumped in, they started prototyping all kinds of different sounds. We listened, we gave feedback. And we really ended up in a cool place.
BB-8! Aww.
As you're playing through and gradually unlocking the language, you'll be able to see those words that they're saying, but still hear those tones.
The Sepulchre of the
Jailer's
first
true goal has never really been to escape the Maw or to gain power. He's been focused on reaching this place called the Sepulchre, to go into this place of power and to really rewrite the rules of the universe.
Wait, what? So he's not Big Bad Man? He doesn't want to rule everything. What does he want to do? Rewrite the rules of the universe? What does that mean? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. A star's cold now? I don't know what that means. I want to rewrite the rules of the universe. Maybe space is blue now.
We'll learn that the Jailer has breached the Sepulchre of the first ones, and this becomes our new raid for Eternity's End. We're going to gather our forces, we're going to pursue the Jailer inside. Once you go inside the Sepulchre, there's some mind-blowing visuals. This is a place that should not be able to exist according to the laws of physics as we know them on Azeroth. Just looking out into this impossible sky of seeing these ancient works of the first ones, those laws don't apply to anything we see here.
Among the bosses that we're going to face in Sepulchre of the first ones include the Jailer's forces, maybe a Dreadlord or two that you haven't tied up loose ends with. We'll face a Consular. This is similar to a being like Algalon, but the Jailer's gotten to it and has infused his domination magic into the Consular. Before we get to the Jailer, however, we need to get to Anduin first. Our hope is that we can learn whatever Anduin knows about domination magic.
So Anduin's not the last boss? Really? There can't be a patch 9.3 then. Because it definitely seemed to set it up that Anduin would be the last boss of the next raid, and then the Jailer. They must be bypassing 9.3. They must be. If Anduin's just a boss in here, and then I'll be fighting the Jailer in here,
to be able to resist it, or better yet, fight it.
Ah, tier sets.
We know players have been waiting a long time for the return of tier sets, and as devs, we have too.
Excuse me? What the fuck did you just say? What? You make them. What are you talking about?
We know players have been waiting a long time for the return of tier sets, and as devs, we have too.
It's a great blend of progenitor.
Oh, that one's cool. Oh, not bad. I mean, that line, I'm reading way too much into this. That line makes me feel like somebody up on high said get rid of tier sets, and the devs were like, but we really liked making tier sets. Like, yeah, we're not doing tier sets no more. So, deal with it.
Magic, golds, and metals, along with those class-defining silhouettes.
They're okay.
Wolves for shamans, pointy things for rogues. It's going to look amazing.
Pointy
Our class
things
and
for
combat
rogues.
team was super excited to bring
Rogues like
class
pointy
sets
things.
back. This is something that felt really right for the story.
True,
We're in
though.
the final act of the Shadowlands saga.
Oh, no, that's all. Are these the tier sets? Oh, okay. Oh, hold on. Are these like the LFR skins? Because these colors are bad.
Something that felt really right for the story.
I mean,
The final act of the Shadowlands saga. We're here literally on the brink at eternity's end.
Oh, I like that. I like that face mask. That's sick. That's pretty cool. I like this idea with like this is pretty chill. I'm not sure about the rest of the armor, but I kind of really like this white face mask. That's pretty sweet.
And what better place to fully unleash the power?
It's the mage one, I guess.
For these classes, and I think players will really enjoy the return of those class sets just as much as the team enjoyed making them.
How do you make something that is mystical and magical and incomprehensible and yet understandable? I think we've done a good job of finding that line.
The team as a whole has been working so hard, and we are so excited to get this out for everyone.
We're gonna get new mounts, new pets.
Yep.
A bit horrifying for me, but exciting for some is the fact that, you know, some of the spider mounts can now fly. Who needs flying spiders? But that's also going to be a
You can fly in the new zone. Good move. High fives.
cool thing for people.
We have updates to professions, to soulbinds, to conduits. There's a new dancing minigame in Dark Moon.
Put TTR in. It's a step in the right direction for sure. All right, so they put DDR in. Okay. It's a step in the right direction.
Fair.
I'm a story guy, so I'm super geeked about watching players kind of piece together those little lore tidbits. That's what excites me as well.
I'm really looking forward to Season 3 of Mythic Plus. Tazavesh is getting split into 2 dungeons. If you're a raider, if you chase Keystone Master, if you're an achievement collector, there's something for everyone to do in this.
Shadowlands is like the final chapter of one book of the Warcraft saga. And our team is already hard at work on the next stories to come. Can't talk about them quite yet, but when the time is right, we're going to be really excited to share them with you.
All right. Hey, pretty standard, right? New zone, new dailies, new rep grind, new raid. I mean, it all sounded pretty basic, right? I'm not crazy there. No new system, new soulbinds. Well, I did see there's a ton of extra information. Seems pretty, right? It seems pretty like standard that we would expect for a normal kind of mundane patch. Not to downplay the amount of work that goes into creating new zones and story and all that kind of stuff, but nothing that grabbed me by the balls there to make me excited. I'd say that. So we did have some dev interviews. Let's see the highlights here. These are always a little out of context. When I was making WoW content, I didn't use these because they were always a little scuff trying to shove it back down. But let's see what we say. The Shadowlands story arc was planned to have 3 acts, so patch 9.2 will be the finale. It is! There could be a patch 9.3, but it's unlikely. Right. So that's it. They're ditching the expansion. Okay. I mean, I hope to God you're not just going to rush another expansion, though, guys, right? Like, don't do that, because you're just going to have another rushed piece of crap. Like, unless 9.2 lasts, like, 2 years or something like that. That could be just, like, finishing 1, I get it. I mean, we got Legion after WoD, right? But don't just rush to get a different setting out and get box copies sold or whatever. Like, fingers crossed that's not the case. Dealing with Anduin is the only way players will be able to confront the jailer. Yep. Uther may be able to guide Sylvanas. Where's Arthas? You keep referencing him. Is our boy going to show up again? Uther may be able to guide Sylvanas through these treacherous waters of having a soul return to the body after death. Zorander and Sylvanas are on a collision course, and there'll be heavy interaction between those characters, and it is a pivotal in the final conclusion of the Shadowlands. This patch will explain all of Shadowlands' storylines. Oh! And this is actually the ending of a series of storylines starting in Warcraft 3. They brought this up a couple of times, but I never played Warcraft 3, so I'll take your word for that. There is room for sweeping cosmic narratives and small personal stories. The team recognizes that players want to see the small things that flesh out the world as well as a cosmic story. There are many facets of the Warcraft universe still waiting for us to explore in both the cosmic sense of Eternity's End and the more grounded events in Azeroth, featuring characters we know and love, with many areas yet in Azeroth to be discovered. Mate. So, I mean, I take that, if they said that, that's a hint that the next expansion will be a bit more grounded and go back to Azeroth and actually give a shit about where we came from. So, I would be curious. I would expect, based on lines like this, that maybe they'll go. The next expansion will not be, you know, smashing the sky to pieces and shit like that. I wonder if we're going to repair that. Who do you get to repair a hole in the sky? Right, new raid. I always say Sepulcher of the first ones. The new raid has 11 bosses. Anduin is the 8th. The first week of the new raid will take us up to Anduin, allowing us to take a closer look at his story. Are you time gating the bosses? The first week of the new raid will take us up to Anduin, which is the 8th boss. They are? The time gating a week for story. Only for heroic week. So you can't do the last 3 bosses in heroic. Interesting. That is interesting. Anduin will be a very, very complex boss. I don't know. Have you met these 5 heads IRL? Fucking hell. It's like talking to a supercomputer. Trust me, spend 3 minutes in a room with Mirez and you'll understand. The final 3 bosses will be available in normal, heroic, and mythic during the 3rd week of the raid. The Jailer will be the final boss of the new raid. So you can't... Are they not going to PTR test the last 3 bosses? Ballsy. That's really interesting. That also probably means you're not going to have heroic level weapons and things, because they tend to put the higher item level stuff at the end. Are they going to be in the dungeon journal? Oh, I've got so many questions about this. This is really interesting. The Jailer will be the final boss of the new raid. The Jailer will be in a very dynamic room with pillars and fog, and maybe the craziest boss the team has done. Okay. After defeating the first boss in the Sepulcher, you will need to take a flight path to the next boss in the instance. As you travel, you get to see all the epic scenery, huge structures in the raid, and get a sense of the scale and fantasy. Okay. One wing of the... Teleport, please. One wing of the raid is constantly creating new things and prototyping creatures. And oh, are we going to get a menagerie type boss? I do enjoy those. And one of the bosses in that wing is a prototype of the Pantheon of Death. In previous raids, everything led up to a moment with the final boss. This time, we have a big story moment with both Anduin and the Jailer. Cool. Skippers, though, next time. Oh, I have so many questions about this. I mean, for this to work, it can't be in the dungeon journal. And no PTR testing. Because if we PTR test it, like... Why did I say we? I'm not going to do it. ZERETH Mortis will be very large. It was an opportunity for the team to show a whole new level of Warcraft cosmology about this mystical and higher form of magic place that we haven't seen before. There'll be opportunities for you to get gear to get to where you can feel successful playing through ZERETH Mortis story content. It doesn't feel that alien to me, looking through that video. Like, compared to Netherstorm, in fact, all of the Burning Crusade, didn't feel that alien. It actually felt kind of nice and pretty. I don't know if you guys got that vibe, that it didn't feel as alien as many other areas have been to. I mean, certainly compared to, like, Argus or anywhere in the Burning Crusade. ZERETH Mortis and its creatures, the Automa, speak with a runic pattern called ciphers. Players will not know it all at once, but will need to learn it over time. That's gonna... Let's see how that goes, because that's going to be like some sort of rep grind. Oh, they could play it out like... ooh. Yeah, that could be better. If they play it out like... fuck. What was that extra zone that we got in Legion? Where you had to do all the... You actually had to unlock the zone. It wasn't just a boring rep grind, but you had to go and do the stuff. Do you remember the one I'm thinking of? No, not Argus. It was the one that was in at the start. Surumar. Yeah, Surumar. If it plays out like Surumar, that could be kind of cool. That would be really interesting. ZERETH Mortis exists for the sole okay, I didn't understand this at all. ZERETH Mortis exists for the sole purpose of creating the afterlife. All of it. Shadowlands was fashioned there along with many things of the strength of death that we have yet to discover. So there are many Shadowlands afterlives? Or afterlives. And Shadowlands is just one of them? Okay. ZERETH Mortis is our first in-depth look at the founders. Oh, Nobble's here. Oh, yeah. Do you fancy explaining... Nobble, before I go down this road, do you know what the Jailer's plan is? It's all very vague to me. It wants to rewrite reality. Change the rules of the universe. I don't know what any of this means. Like, have we got anything specific? Like, maybe it was in a book or something. I know they've been putting a lot of extra stuff into books and whatnot to, like, flesh out the context of it. Not 100%. Let me just see what Nobble has to say here. Not 100%, but it seems like he wants to use the code to rewrite it all the first ones made. Do we know why? It's just that in the video, they did mention he wasn't really after power and things, but I assume he just wants to be in charge. He wants to be the man, main man. Yeah, I'm just not sure it's enough of a Discord call, that's all. Yeah. Okay. ZERETH Mortis has no day and night cycle, since it's neither a star nor a planet, but an area located in the heart of the ether of the universe itself. Heidelin, hello. In the end, you will have to fight in ZERETH Mortis thanks to the decryption system. Okay. Tier sets, okay. Tier sets are a combination of class fantasy and the aesthetics from the zone, creatures and ecology of ZERETH Mortis. Tier sets will be available through the raids and the Great Vault. After patch 9.2 releases, you'll unlock the Forge of Creation and earn a new currency. This currency, along with an item from PvP or dungeons, can be transferred. Oh, they're using the Wrath of the Lich King model. Interesting. They hated that model. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. They specifically said they hated that model. Wow. We are rolling back. Cool. I loved that model. I thought it was fine. I think the players thought it was totally fine. But yeah, I remember there's a thing out there with one of the devs at a conference saying how much they detested that kind of stuff. Okay. The Forge of Creation is supposed to work like bad luck protection, or for people wanting to make new characters, or as a catch-up method if you started late. I'm fine with that. The new PvP brawl is the Solo Shuffle. It'll take 6 players and have them fight in a 3v3 arena. In every possible combination you could form with those players. No, oh, in fact, before we go any further, no mention of cross-faction stuff. So maybe, if that is on the menu, that's next expansion. Some sort of Azeroth, I'm trying to think of the next expansion, some sort of Azeroth global enemy that makes people work together. They could have used this language that we all learned to cross-communicate, couldn't they? The ZERETH Mortis decryption cipher? Because if the Alliance has to learn it and the Horde has to learn it, then they could have used that in order to allow communication between both sides. That would have been interesting. Although, I mean, Jaina and Thrall talk together all the time. I assume we can learn Orcish if you study up, if you get your spot game on point. Legos! Players will have access to new level tiers of Legos that require materials that come from ZERETH Mortis directly. Interesting. Are they just not doing Torghast at all? Or are they going to put something else into Torghast? Interesting move. You'll be able to equip 2 legendary items at once. 1 regular Lego and 1 Covenant Lego. Huh. I wonder how that causes for the balancing team. So you get your Lego and a Covenant one. Players will need to unlock the capability to equip 2 Legos. So we are looking at potentially 7 item slots, assuming the tier sets are 5. Completely taken up by expansion-specific or required items, but 6, usually. 6, usually. I wonder how the Great Vault's going to play out with that. Yeah, you would expect 4 set tier set, right? And 2 Legos. I wonder how the Great Vault's going to play out with such combinations. Because I know one of the bigger complaints that I got from after, you know, you started re-rolling stuff is that Great Vault items were just dead because they went into domination slots and things like that. The PTR is coming in the next few weeks. But they're already underway with it. It might be, actually, the PTR might be like when the Korthia PTR came out, where they had very little on it, but we'll see. Next few weeks, barring any technical challenges with the rollout, the team wants to move to a world where players have new content to consume more frequently. The team will not add new levels of renown. There are no plans to update soulbinds. Didn't they mention that in the video? New conduits, new soulbind stuff? Maybe that was just a misspeak and they changed their mind or something. With Kel'Thuzad in Mythic mode, players came up with a strategy that the development team did not anticipate. For Kel'Thuzad and the Scribe of Doom, The two underwent successive nerfs in order to allow the middle guilds to defeat the bosses in the weeks and months that followed. Okay. Eternity's raid schedule. Oh, yeah. Narratively, the Eternity's End raid tells 2 stories. So, I mean, that kind of feels like they cut 9.3, right? And they've just put it into one raid. One after the other. Our current plan for the release of the raid looks like this. During the first week of the release of Eternity's End, the raid will not be open. Beginning with the second week, the raid will open for normal and heroic difficulties, and the first 8 bosses will be available in those difficulties. It will not be possible to fight the final bosses on any difficulty during week 2. This is intended to provide a moment to tell the story in a way that accounts for the passage of time between the events of the 8th encounter and the subsequent encounters. Beginning with the weekly reset of week 3, all bosses will be available in normal, heroic, and mythic. This will be the opening of the first wing of the raid on Raid Finder difficulty. That is really interesting. I really hope they don't PTR test. If they're going to go this way, they don't PTR test and don't put it in the dungeon journal. I mean, that makes the world first race very interesting from a spectator's point of view. I wonder how they feel about it. It depends how it plays out. Because, I mean, the nightmare scenario here is you get to whatever boss 9 is, and it's just bullshit. But it does provide Blizzard a number of opportunities here. One of the biggest problems they always have is they have really no general idea of how strong players are going to be. And the squash is very real. Like, sometimes they nail it, like with Sludge Fist and things. But sometimes you can see, like, obviously when you sat there and you're covering the stuff, you can see them naturally turning the dial up on later bosses because players are just so extraordinarily powerful compared to what they expected. So that gives them like a full week to tweak before and get a good gauge. I wonder if there's a real DPS check boss. Like boss 7 maybe. Something like that. Something like boss 7 that's a real tester. I wonder how they paced it so they can manage this stuff. That's really curious. Jump back into action with the new level 60 character boost. It's about that time where they let you boost up to the end. It's about that time. Okay. Wow, that's a lot of information. That is a lot of information. Obviously, my interest is purely with this raid time lockout thing. Hopefully, it's not like the Sunwell, which was awful, but it's not going to be because you are getting it the second week. The zone itself, I can't say I'm overly excited about that. Like, that didn't grab me at all. What I read into it in a pessimistic way, because I do carry a big fucking ball of pessimism with me with this stuff, is it's a new zone, got rep grind, it's got daily quests. It's the same as any other zone that would come into it. And that was all I saw. Like, nothing particularly exciting at all there. They added what people believe to be a new system and currency. Oh, this is the deciphering thing, but it looks like it comes with some sort of abilities. I would expect, at a first glance at this, obviously literally just seeing this right now, this looks like zone-specific buffs and things. These are these runes that you're deciphering, which probably allow for some zone-specific bonuses. Because they did say there was a new currency, which is going to be this. So I'm wondering if this is zone-specific stuff. Hard to tell, because they change the icons and things all the time. I mean, if it's zone-specific bonuses, I don't see why anybody would hate on that. Like, whatever. It might make you... You know, like we had a Gadget Zan and things like that. And, the underwater one. That one. I don't think that's a problem. It's fine. Like, if it's zone specific, if it's character power, that's when it becomes a problem, right? Like, if this is 25% crit, this is 30% move speed, this is 40% healing over time. You know, this is a shield that it regenerates every few seconds. You know, shit like that. If it's those kind of things, then yeah, that's just annoying because then it becomes mandatory, which is never fun. But if it's zone specific stuff, that's fine. It makes doing your dailies and stuff more effective. It was one of the things that I think was the biggest sadness about Gadget Zan. Mechagon, I should say, not Gadget Design. Mechagon. Was that they really didn't explore the idea of like building your own mech fully and things like that, like a zone specific mech. That zone was built for that kind of thing, where eventually you could be riding around a little tank and doing all that kind of stuff. If you clearly farmed the place to death, having little fun things like that would have been super cool. But they didn't go that way, unfortunately. But we did get jetpacks and stuff, which is pretty good. Is it another system? Well, we don't know enough about it, but I would guess this is just what you... A really rough guess, this is just you unlock the ciphers, and you probably learn, like, from a lore perspective, you learn the advantages those guys had while they were there. You're understanding their language, you're understanding how they did things, so you're now understanding how you could utilize the benefits those guys had in that zone. That makes sense. The Shadow Priest community is very happy about 2 Legos. The Shadow Priest community, is this public? The covenant balance has got to be spicy. Yeah, but, I mean, they're going to start... This might be copium. But they're going to start changing... they're going to start reworking the Legos to account for 2. So, expect nerfs and buffs constantly. There's might be copium, but they are going to do that. I'm actually not saying, though, 100% it's going to be correct by any means. I'm not saying that. But don't base it on the powers that exist right now, because that's probably not how it's gonna work. That's not how it's gonna work. They're gonna start accounting for it, especially closer to the time. They'll start tweaking the combinational power that comes on. But I mean, sometimes they don't. Undeniably, sometimes they just don't do that, which does happen. They'll balance it with the tier set bonuses, maybe. Or nerf all of them. Probably not nerf the effects, like the interactions, but maybe nerf the power of the interactions, or something like that. But generally, if this is going to be the end patch, they generally kind of let you go wild. Right? I mean, we have historical context for all of that, is at the end of the expansion, they kind of just let your characters turn into complete monsters and have at it and have fun with it. I mean, that's what people love about the 0.3 patches. I know many people who only join World of Warcraft for the 0.3 patches, because that's when the characters are usually completely stupid. Paul is very happy. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say, really. I mean, it's kind of all basic stuff. So, okay. Not enough to kind of inspire me. I'll probably do what I did with the last patch. Just check out the raid. Have some fun with it. I will be following this stuff. I'm curious how this is going to play out. I'm curious. I mean, I genuinely hope that you don't get the dungeon journal and stuff. I would like to not even know, although data mining will be a thing, what bosses 9 and 10 are. I mean, data mining is always a thing, but it'd be cool if you just didn't know who boss 9 was. That would be really interesting. That brief period of mystery. That'd be super fun. Let's see how that plays out. Hopefully they can balance it in such a way that's really fun. That would be cool. It's gotta be a Jailer's Spine. Yeah, but Boss 10 will be Arthas. I think they're gonna hold that off now. I was pretty convinced that was gonna come into it in some way, shape, or form. I kind of figured it'd play into the Anduin fight.